Okay. Hello, everybody. I see we have quite a few people already joined. As always, anticipation is great, so early birds are most welcome. We will start our webinar today just in a couple of minutes, so let's give a moment to everyone else to join the room. Just a kind of reminder that this webinar is being recorded as well. So for purpose, if you want to later on double check on any notes, or you will need to see lovely faces of our panelists again, you will be able to do that when we add the video to the YouTube channel. Or if you registered but were not able to join today, also there will be possibility to check it out. Right, as we are waiting, let's perhaps check where are we, like who we have today from which parts of the world. So Christoph, you were telling just earlier to all of us that you were flying somewhere. Were you flying from home or to home?
I was actually flying into vacation.
To
So
vacation.
I have a day off today and tomorrow, but I'm happy to be here and join for this webinar. But I am at the moment in Copenhagen. If you sometimes do meetings with me, you see that this meeting background looks like our office in Frankfurt. I just actually took a photo with my camera, to simulate the background. But I'm actually not in the office. I'm in Copenhagen right now.
Nice, good for you. Enjoy Copenhagen for all of us.
Yes.
All right, so we are at 4:01. So I think, oh yeah, and we're getting quite a few comments from in our chat. Okay, so we have UK, we have quite a few people from the US. We got Zurich, India, Canada, Hungary, Nova Scotia, nice. Ah.
Nice, really nice.
Yeah, Greece, Netherlands. So we have like as per usual, we have really lovely crowds. And Italy, oh God. I wish I was in Italy right now, to be honest, given that in Scotland the weather is turning to be like, well, terrible as per usual, I guess. Okay. France, more Belgium, Brighton, UK. Well, Brighton also sounds quite delightful. Okay, so I think that we are at 2 minutes past, and without any further delay, I am absolutely delighted to welcome everyone to this webinar. And with that, I will pass it over to our great panelists that we have today. And yeah, I mean, I'm looking forward to getting all the great information, all the amazing information and data that has been prepared. So I wish you all to enjoy this hour together with us.
Good afternoon. Just as a quick summary of what we're going to go through today, Christoph's going to go through a small introduction and why perhaps Drupal is really well poised to have a resurgence in this AI era. I'm going to pull out some of the key insights we've got from this global AI survey, which is abstracting from a larger report that we will be releasing later next week. Christoph's going to do a deep dive into some of the salient points and start to lead into how that's actually informed the Drupal AI roadmap, which Kristen will go through. So Christoph, perhaps you'd like to introduce yourself.
Yes, so I'm Christoph. I'm one of the co-founders of 1x Internet. And yeah, happy to be here talking to you and having a lot of fun bringing Drupal AI forward together with the Drupal AI initiative and all the contributors.
Kristen.
Hi, I'm Kristen. I'm in California. I am not on vacation, so that does sound fantastic. I am a senior technologist and the open source contribution lead at Salsa Digital out of Australia.
Yeah.
Up to you, Paul.
Myself, Paul Johnson. I work at 1x Internet primarily in marketing and also supporting the sales side of things. So I have a lot of experience working with clients directly who we're trying to serve with the Drupal AI initiative.
Nice. So I'll start this off with a short introduction. I think probably most of you just know this, what you see here on this slide, but nevertheless, let's just get everybody on the same page and make sure we start from the same spot. So the Drupal AI initiative was launched not so long ago, and it just came out of that many companies are of course experiencing with AI. Drupal has always been in the forefront of innovation. And in June 2025, like a bunch of companies came together and we formed the AI initiative, and it has been growing fast since. So we are a lot of companies now, and yeah, what we do is just align all our development effort because, of course, we're much stronger together than like all individually developing AI features. And yeah, that's what we're trying to achieve with the Drupal AI initiative. Go to the next slide, please, Paul. And I wanted to take a moment, just to make this clear, like here in this round, like why is this important for Drupal, and why is Drupal such a good fit, and why are we in such a good spot for AI and innovation? And that's just simply because everything in AI is just around content. Because if you reveal, please, the most valuable asset that you actually have in the AI area is your own content, because based on your content, you can just now at much higher speed and with much more options, you can just generate stuff and you can just like alter stuff and you can make stuff available and discoverable. But like it doesn't change that like your most valuable asset in this time is your content. If you go to the next slide, and that's what we are trying to achieve with the Drupal AI initiative. So we are set out to together, with all the AI makers that are working together and the other contributors to just build the world's best AI-powered open source CMS system. And for Drupal, or us being Drupal, we just have a really good chance of just really, becoming that system. And because we just have 4 important aspects of our CMS system that just really pay into this. And the first one that you see here that Paul revealed is, of course, we just have excellent data modeling functionality, because the data that we produce in Drupal is highly structured and it's highly flexible. And that's, of course, exactly what AI needs to just process that data. The second one, that is, we can scale. Like most of you know this, we can scale to very large amounts of contents. We can scale to very large user bases, and we just have the robustness that's just needed if you want to build AI-based systems. Because with the speed and the capabilities that AI provides, the amount of content just grows like at a very high speed, and we fit for that. The third one would be that in Drupal, everything's built with APIs in mind. And that's also what you need, because if you want to build AI features on top of the CMS systems, you need really robust APIs. And we have that. And that gives us the flexibility that we're already seeing in all the stuff that we have created. And lastly, everything that you could potentially want to integrate into our CMS system, into Drupal, has already been integrated. So really, it doesn't matter like what kind of third-party system you just want to dock into or plug into, we already have it. And of course, that gives you a huge advantage if you build an AI-powered CMS system, if you can build on top of one that has these 4 cornerstones. And then last one, not to forget, next, yeah, so that Drupal can be used as a headless CMS or as a traditional CMS, or you can simply just also embed it in larger distributed systems. So that's really the optimal prerequisites that you can have to just build such a AI-powered CMS system. Next, please. So And in order to just make sure that we built the right things, we just made a survey. We just thought, like, of course, we have many ideas, and all the contributors have fantastic ideas, and it's amazing to see what's out there. But we thought we would just ask, and in July, we just conducted a survey with a very, very good response. So if you just show the participants, so we had more than 200 professionals, business leaders, and technical decision makers from almost 200 organizations. And we just produced like really high quality data responses, because like what revealed from the responses that like the people who actually participated and gave feedback on the stuff we asked, they know what they're talking about, and they just pointed us in really good directions, and gave really good and high value feedback. So in this presentation today, we are going to show you some of that. It will be an excerpt. We will, in the next section, we will have the key findings, and then we go a bit deeper to see like how this data was gathered. But that's only a fraction or first glance at the report that we have already created. And that will be distributed later to all the participants now in this webinar. And and you will get that too. But for next, I will hand over to Paul to go over the key findings that we could extract.
Thanks, Christoph. Yeah, I mean, one of the intentions of this survey was to gather general behaviors of organizations and individuals as to where they're seeing the most value in AI. So you can take some of these findings as not just specific to Drupal, but more generally speaking with AI. And so let's have a look at some of the details that we've found. So in terms of personal usage, the majority of respondents, so 79.2% of people reported that they were using AI in their everyday work. For personal usage, respondents report that people are experimenting in their business with different tools. Using the different tools to achieve the same task. So there's a little bit of duplication of tooling within their organization. And actually the approach is ad hoc and a little bit fragmented. And generally the tools that they're using have little or no integration to internal systems. So in general, these tools are being used as standalone, and they're spread across these four key areas. So content creation, so writing text and rephrasing content, drafting emails and summarization. It's also proving valuable in researching, so things like brainstorming and general supporting knowledge and data analysis. But it's also being used on a daily basis for note-taking, planning, and I'm sure we've all used these kind of tools. There's also a high degree of adoption across development practices, so code generation, debugging, and general assistance, which is not surprising considering the audiences that we are able to access. So out of 216 respondents representing 199 organizations, 86%, so the vast majority of organizations are already using AI within their businesses. And rather than relying on staff to pick their own tools, organizations are increasingly embedding AI into established systems such as their CMSs, CRM, and also their marketing automation platforms. And the aim of that is to create consistency and to make sure that it aligns with compliance requirements and concerns they may have around where data is going. But it also ensures that outputs are connected across functions. And so it starts to remove this siloed thinking. And the key takeaway here is that this is a massive opportunity for Drupal to become the heart of any organization's AI strategy. Thinking about how Christoph has said that Drupal has exceptional data modeling capabilities and also an API-first architecture could be the central hub for your AI. And so for organizations, the top category is productivity, where they use AI in their internal operations. And in marketing, AI is playing a key role in content generation and customer interaction management. Through data analysis, AI is supporting faster and more informed decision-making. And then finally, organizations are beginning to embed AI within their websites and content management systems and processes enhancing their digital experiences and optimizing content workflows. And in a previous webinar, we've talked about how marketing budgets are shrinking. This is clear evidence that organizations are looking towards AI to address those issues. So the promise of automation and efficiency, the need for trust and accuracy, and the importance of human control were all resounding themes we saw across feedback. There are some barriers to adoption, and we saw two main areas. So for smaller organizations with fewer than 50 staff, they often face challenges around limited resources and a lack of clear understanding of use cases, which can make AI adoption difficult to be effective. In contrast, large organizations tend to be more focused on addressing concerns around data privacy, security, and the ethical implications of AI deployments. And we saw other organizations citing such barriers as the high cost of implementation and a view that AI tools were not yet mature enough, so they're perhaps in the R&D phase still, and also some saying that it's not relevant for their specific needs. But again, I think that's down to a lack of appreciation of the use cases that could be placed. Teams want to shorten the time to launch for their campaigns, and landing page builder type tools were seen as potentially killer apps. And we're pretty excited the progress that Drupal is making in that area. And then we've got a few key takeaways here, insights. So AI is predominantly being used for AI creation across marketing, sales, and business development roles, but we're also seeing it in support roles as well. So producing documentation to help clients, I expect. Also, the government and public sector, we've seen notably high AI adoption in content creation when compared to other industries. And smaller organizations tend to show higher adoption of AI in marketing and customer service roles. So that's organizations of less than 50 employees. And AI adoption is driven primarily by the specific needs of the tasks inherent to different industries and roles. So there is a wide range of different applications that we were seeing reported, but it was with a strong emphasis towards automation, assisting and enhancing core professional activities. So showing a strong desire for AI features to enhance human oversight, not to replace it. So enabling staff rather than replacing them. And then the final observation that we've made is that executive and management roles are reporting significant use of AI for research and productivity and general assistance. So that's not necessarily in integrated fashion, but it does show a broad appreciation of AI, which is like amongst decision makers, which is likely to help drive AI adoption in the future. So I'm going to hand over to Christoph to go into some of the detail of the survey now.
Yes. So now you've seen a couple of the key findings, extraction stuff that when we just analyzed the data that struck us. And now in this next section, let's just take a look at like how we asked these questions and how we actually got to these answers. Before we go into that detail, let's just quickly look at like some information about the participants. So like from the industries where the respondents came from. So we see like a lot of industries, a lot of companies from the technology and software area, which also explains that there was a good and deep understanding of how AI actually works and like where you have to be careful. Quite a few also in consulting, and of course where Drupal is strong is in government, public sector, and education, NGOs. So we see these. If you go to the next, please. And then you see from the roles of the people who participated. So there were the most of the participants were actually from technical and engineering roles, followed by management and executive leadership. Other typical operational roles from companies, they were a bit smaller, and but that also explains like the type of answers that you would see in the next slides, or what you've seen in the key findings. So many of you maybe have participated in the survey also, but just to bring that back to everyone, like how did we actually ask the questions? So we presented a list of 34 features, and each feature had a names here, for example, such as Fact Finder, with a very small explanation. I will just like read that out in case you can't read it. It The fact finder verifies facts and flags outdated or questionable information to ensure trustworthy content. So intentionally, this description is just very vague because the idea was to just find out like if such a feature, a fact finder type feature, with such a broad explanation that leaves a lot of room for interpretation, if that's important to the respondents or not so important. So they could then rate on this 5-point scale. And there was place for the respondents to just actually bring in their own ideas and leave comments why this is important, why this could be dangerous, and so forth. And we asked these questions for 35 features. And these features we then ranked. If you go to the next one, please. And then we just ranked these features by simply taking the highest value and the high value and just count how often they occurred. So that gave us like a clear ranking of these features to show us, from the respondents, what they actually say that is most important. That's something that we should first focus on. So if you now go to the next slide, you will see the top 5 features. So what clearly came out that the respondents, they see that optimizing search using AI that has the highest value. Yeah, and so I made like a little sentence here explaining like what they see in all these features, followed by that we need some audit functionality. So if there's AI at work doing something, it needs to be auditable. The third one is accessibility. I mean, historically, we are strong with that in Drupal, also given like the industries we serve that place high value on this. So using AI to improve this core functionality was seen as very high value. And then the fourth one, the content librarian, that's around typical content management tasks. And the approval architect is, for reviewing and checking content. So let's go into the details of each of these features. So for the search optimizer, the one that scored highest. So the text push is simply that it improves search accuracy, by combining keyword search and semantic search, and use AI to analyze search data, make it better, and use just maybe additional data that was generated by AI to better classify the information. And there were a lot of comments there, and many are just thinking that that would really be the thing of just for Drupal that has been strong with search always. We really early of being able to build advanced search system that could give us again a competitive value proposition against other systems, that we just can provide this type of search experience out of the box immediately. And yeah, not only will this position Drupal here in a good place, but it will of course also help search editors when it comes to discovery of content, and of course for the users when they search for content. You see here towards the bottom, one go back please, towards the bottom. So there also came ideas. Yeah, so for example, if you had such search, we could also build features that allow content editors to smarter link related content from pages. So there are all kinds of ideas that surfaced in the comments, and also of course like downsides or things we should be aware of. And you see that here, like cost and complexity and accuracy. These are just things that are just difficult to just handle right. And yeah, building AI powered search is just not an easy thing to do. So respondents pointed that out too. Let's go to the next one. That was the audit trail. And that's just about like tracking and logging AI actions, so that you actually have a history for compliance and review purposes. And that is just super important. Yeah, I mean, this is just necessary. Without this, respondents feel we shouldn't, or we can't, or we should not build like AI features in a trustworthy way. And yeah, and it was just pointed out where this is especially important, for example, in sensitive sectors. And it's important for just developing AI features in general, like when you think about troubleshooting and debugging and so forth. And they pointed out, I mean, AI tools, they just do a lot of things, and they are just very abstract, and it's hard to just make such an audit trail tool user friendly and actionable. And that is also the risk that comes out of it. I mean, if you just log everything but you can't use it for anything, you just produce a paper trail. Next, please. the accessibility advocate. There came a lot of ideas, how this could be. I mean, comments ranging from this important for inclusivity, but also detailed information like how this can help with compliance. It will most likely save time for content editors, and maybe it could even be built in a way that it's good at spotting complex issues that are first available or visible when you just review content in depth. And yeah, there were lots of good feedback on that one. Go next, please. Now for the content librarian, the one that just organizes, classifies, and tags content and adds metadata for AI semantic search, and maintains structure and makes it searchable. Provides you with a content library and so forth. And here then of course all the ideas came, like tagging must be supported, it should boost searches, it should help with governance, and editorial efficiency is of course also a big part. If you can just discover your content much faster, you just better. And especially if you're just working on large sites, this of course becomes very useful. Next one, please. And the last feature here that from the top 5 that we wanted to highlight was the approval architect. So that is, a rather broad definition. It's just about, having approval workflows where you can, using AI say this is good content, or that content needs some additional information or needs to be changed in any ways. And and here, what comes out, I mean, this just really helps if you have content workflows in companies that maybe span across different people, or there's review involved, that can really streamline such workflows. And it's of course helps with compliance and governance, and it's just a huge time saver and reduces bottlenecks and all these things. So that's also a very important feature that came out. Next, please. So these were the top 5 examples where I went a little bit more in detail to just give you a feeling for what kind of responses came and what did people say and what did they point out. And now what we just also did, across all the features, we just took a step back and we just tried to derive what they are actually saying in general, the respondents. And Paul, teased this a bit already in the key insights. I mean, it's all about automation. If there's something that just can be done automatically, small tasks, hideous tasks, repetitive tasks like content creation, SEO optimization, accessibility, and so forth, that is something we should focus on. And the second one, at the core of CMS systems, we should enhance content management and make that just better, with the tools available. But at the same time, we just have to maintain really high quality. Yeah, so regardless of which of the features we do, that's kind of the general tone that just goes across all these features, and that's what we have to keep in mind when we build. And now, next slide, please. If you turn that around, what also came through, and that was just really valuable feedback across all these features, that respondents say there has to be some kind of control over it in order to just have that trust of AI just doing something in your system. So there needs to be some human oversights, and it needs to be transparent. And the second thing is that respondents just really know that AI is just not accurate. It is just generating stuff that seems to make sense. Yeah, and it can also hallucinate. So that needs to be taken into account, regardless what you build. And then of course is the environmental aspects of resource usage that came up as something that should be concerned. So don't use it for everything. And then of course privacy and ethical concerns as well. Taking all that, what we are doing in the Drupal AI initiative to just cater to this demand, we are just actually we have adopted a two-part development strategy. Because on the one hand, we just need to build features that deliver immediate impact. So sort of what you saw, some of these features are just ready to be implemented at the moment. Other features are still in the making. I mean, as you saw, building audit trail management is it's a hard problem, but delivering tagging of content, that's a bit easier, yeah. And so therefore, there's 2 parts of the development strategy. So we need to deliver stuff right now that we can use, that will be released, and that helps Drupal and all its users come forward and benefit from these developments immediately. But we also make sure that we just have a development stream that just keeps our competitive advantage, and that's what you see on the left side, the strategic evolution. So we just have to keep continuing to innovate and just build groundbreaking AI capabilities. And with this, I will hand over to Kristen to just reveal where we stand like with the Drupal AI roadmap and to give you a bit of insight like what we're working on right now.
All right, awesome. Thank you, Christoph and Paul, for kind of the deep dive into the survey and the results. And a shout out to all those who participated in the survey, because we couldn't have analyzed any results if we didn't have any. So appreciate that. All right, on that note, we'll talk a little bit about the roadmap. First off, I'm going to kind of go back to, so for those of you that went to the original webinar, we talked about and maybe read the original announcement and strategy that came out from Dries. We have this grand vision, to be this, the premier open source AI powered design CMS. And we definitely found that this resonated with the survey results, right? People really want that human-centered framework. They want something that's super flexible and adaptable. And I think the last thing, which was also echoed in the survey, is enhance human creativity rather than replace it. I think that's a key takeaway here. And then, so as Christoph said, we have this sort of dual approach that we're developing in, and this has been going for some time. So this is not necessarily new, but I think the survey really highlights some of the immediate impact items that will be focused on in the coming weeks and months. And the strategic evolution has been going on for some time as well. But I think a key thing here is that these help feed each other, because when we have features that go out in the world that are immediate impact, we're going to be able to get feedback from users, and they're going to be able to tell us, we like this, we don't like that. And we can feed that back in and figure out, are there more fundamental or foundational things that we need to build for our sort of platform so that we can make even better improvements going forward. So they definitely inform and strengthen each other. So how are we going to deliver immediate impact? So we talked, so Paul and Christoph talked about all of these, smaller focused areas to deliver functionality. And it's very important that these things are very easy to use by the end user. And so the plan is to also be able to install those easily. So for those of you, probably everyone here knows about recipes. That was a key part of the Drupal CMS strategy so far, is bundling recipes that have these sort of best practices and this configuration where you can just install them quickly and have, kind of an easy to use version of some of these features that we were talking about earlier. But I think a key part of it is also not losing the flexibility that we get with Drupal, right? So being able to still do that fine tuning, that customization. So there's that balance of getting like the 90%, the 80% out there of like, this is really good and solid and it's going to handle most use cases, but still allowing that for that customization at the end. So in terms of roadmap, there's a lot behind the scenes that is going on. There's a lot of details, and we wanted to just try to distill it down as something that's this is the roadmap reveal, right? This is just a taste of what's going on behind the scenes. So for many of the things on the roadmap slides, there are issues and discussions, and there's a lot going on. Some of these have leads that have taken on them or teams of people that are working on them. So roughly, we can see that there's things that we're more focused on now. So in the coming, like we have been working on or, are starting now and are going to get, hopefully get rolled out in the next few weeks. I'm using air quotes because some of the things will take longer, some will be shorter. But if we look at the now items, we see some of the items that Christoph was talking about earlier, like for the search optimizer, for example, and then also with the next items. So now, some things might say next. It doesn't mean that we're not thinking about it now. We're not working on it. We're not. So there's a lot of planning that's happening as well. So even in the next items, people are already, ideating and creating meta issues and that. It's just that this gives you kind of a rough order of priority over the coming sort of weeks and months, and then further out into next year. Next slide. So the two-part strategy is, the immediate impact, which we talked a bit about, with all of the survey results and all those different features, and then that kind of fundamental making the platform as amazing as possible. And that's been going on for quite some time, with that goal of being the, world's best AI-powered open source CMS. And I think an important point here is while we're going to be releasing, smaller features through the immediate impact, we have to always keep in mind the broader picture and try to make things as cohesive as possible, and keep in mind the UX and the design, and trying to find that we're being we're trying to make the best user experience for our audience. And another important aspect is we need to continue to align with the Drupal CMS product, because that is one of the key ways that we're engaging with this sort of new, not new, but we're trying to re-engage with the marketing community and the content editors, and trying to put Drupal sort of back at the forefront of giving them powerful tools to be able to use. So working very closely with the Drupal CMS team and making sure that those features that they're offering are AI powered, AI enabled, is a super big part of our strategy. And then with the upcoming marketplace, there is the opportunity of also allowing people to build even more maybe niche or specialized functionality that's AI powered as well, so that you can expand that even further. And again, same with the immediate impact, we always want to make sure that we're using a very flexible framework that allows for customization, making sure we're leveraging plugins and, letting people expand on the base that we're building, so that it can target these a little more, more specialized use cases for the end user. And some of the areas with the strategic evolution were kind of touched upon in the survey results as well, like, for example, logging. So that's super important. We talked to, people are very worried about AI doing bad things. And so having guardrails is super important. Christoph was talking about, automation. We talked about like repeatability. And so there's so many different areas that are very key to this sort of strategic foundation that we're building on top of. And, all of these things really tie into how people responded to the survey, and also how we have been already developing over the last months and even years with the Drupal AI team. So I think these are very, and we'll go in a little more detail on some of these items as far as on the roadmap. But I think one key takeaway also is going back to like the integration with the Drupal CMS team, the experience builder, which is now called Canvas, but I'm having a really hard time. So for this recording, I think I will just call it experience builder, but forgive me. So the landing page builder, right? So in our case, experience builder, now Canvas, is a huge part of the Drupal CMS strategy. And it's very, like it was said earlier, right? It's sort of a game changer. It's seen as this sort of like killer app. And so a lot of effort has been put into that aspect from the AI initiative, and we'll talk a little bit more about that in a bit. So again, this just gives you an idea of sort of what has been going on. A lot of stuff has already happened. Some interesting ones, like prompt management, having a framework and a UI and be able to deal with prompts. Testing framework where you can go in and you can actually create and run tests from within the UI. There's a lot of interesting things that are going on. We have some other examples. I'm not going to go through all of these because again, there's a lot of detail, and we will have a follow-up blog post in the coming weeks, and we'll have Q&A if we want to talk about some of these in particular. But some of these in the now are at various stages of done, like the tools improvements and the logging, they're, coming along very nicely. And there was, some UX improvements that came out of Christoph's team, like with the chatbot, and that should be rolled out soon. So some of these things are, basically going to get merged in, any day. And then some things are bigger, like the landing page builder, which we'll talk about a little bit more. And then, so again, the next items doesn't mean that we're not talking about it. It's, like we're already working with the ECA integration. It's just like, okay, let's make it even better. So yeah, or Symphony, for example, in the later item, there's already discussions with the Symphony team in order to see how Drupal can leverage that as well. So it just gives you a sense of priority and the fact that there's a lot going on, and we're keeping very busy. All right, next slide. Okay, so I think given that people seem to resonate with the idea of this landing page builder and feel like, okay, this is potentially a killer app. I want to underscore the fact that building AI into the landing page builder actually touches upon much of what we just saw in the roadmap. There are so many things that need to be in place to have successful AI within the landing page builder. So although, it's one little square on that roadmap, the tentacles are very, very large, right? It really affects so many parts of the system. But at the end of the day, the high level is we want to make sure that the landing page builder understands your brand and creates content and forms that, comply with that you can, request things, review things, approve things, and also reject things, and it'll make sense, and also see that logging that we talked about, understand why it's doing the things it's doing. And then ideally also going out and looking at third-party systems to see how those pages are performing, understanding that information, and providing suggestions back to the end user. So those are just three little blurbs, but the implications to that, there's a lot of things that have to happen to make this seamless. So I just wanted to underscore that. All right. And so with that was a bit of the reveal. Again, more details will come up soon. Love to get more people involved. So I'm going to talk a little bit about getting involved. Obviously, there's lots of things that people can do in a lot of different areas. Paul heads up marketing. Christoph is working a lot with the kind of immediate impact items. Jamie and others are, focused a bit more on the strategic evolution sort of items. But if you want help with coding, testing, if you've got great ideas that didn't get captured in the survey already, or if you're particularly interested in UX, there's lots of places where you can help out. Some of these have their own Slack channels on Drupal Slack. So marketing has a dedicated channel. For coding and testing, there's a AI contrib channel. For UX, there's an AI UX channel. So We have a lot of places where you can come and hang out and participate. Would love to have you. And if you are a business owner or you want to nudge your boss, we would love to have you join as an unofficial maker. So here's the logo wall of all of the makers, other than one, because there's one anonymous maker. So we actually technically have 16 makers, 15 on the slide, and that list is growing. I think we are getting close to getting a few more signing up any day now. So come join us. It's a lot of fun. We've got a lot going on and lots to get help with. So I appreciate if you joined as an official maker. All right. And just a little sneak peek, as you could probably imagine, there are a gazillion issues going on behind the scenes to make all this happen. And special shout out to Jamie because he decided to make a very cool tracker. He started it with vibe coding. It's very impressive. It's getting fine-tuned. There's a little more polished needs to happen, but any day that's going to be rolled out so that people can take a look and see what people are working on. And it gives you an idea of like all of the different organizations involved. Some are actually beyond just the maker group and their contributors. So very exciting. And actually, this is a place where if someone wanted to help, the code is, open source. So we could also use some help fine-tuning the last bit of that. And of course, there's always more you can learn. So have some handy QR codes for those that are interested. We've got the AI strategy, which was announced back in June, which was a large collaboration with Dries and the AI team and others, the Drupal CMS team. The initiative resources goes out to, you can see the blog posts and everything. Join Slack if you haven't already, the various channels, and become a maker. All right, I think on that note, we're looking pretty good on time, and we have about 15 minutes to do some Q&A, and I will hand it back to Paul, I think, to Paul or Lenny. I'll let you drive that.
Yeah. Well, we've got a lot of questions actually. So Dave is asking, are we able to access the raw survey data? The answer will be no. This was an anonymous survey. We wanted to encourage the maximum number of people to participate. So that's correct, isn't it, Christoph?
Yeah, so we're not planning to publish the raw data, but all the quantitative parts of the survey, meaning the rankings and the percentages of like what industries people are from and what roles they have, they're all in the report. So there's nothing there that's not being published. The qualitative part of the data, like the comments, that's where like the key findings were derived from. We're not planning to publish, but like they are just extensively described in the report. So I think you will get all the information you need from there.
Yeah. So someone else is asking, will we get the copy of the slides? Absolutely. There'll be a blog published in a few days' time, and there'll be a link to that and the recording. Bob said, it's a great survey. Thanks to everyone who's been involved. Will there be a plan to keep this evergreen, increasing the response pool, i.e., I guess, doing it on an ongoing basis? Absolutely. So yeah, this is the first of, the main objective here is to identify what the market demands are and what the trends are, so that Drupal is delivering things which are of the highest value to end users. Do you have anything to add to that, Christoph?
No, I would like to add something like when you answer the next question, because I think they're related.
Okay, yeah. So Matthew Saunders is questioning whether or not the survey data is skewed towards developers, and where most of the respondents are technical people.
Yeah, I would like to answer on that one. That's of course correct. That's why we also showed this in the beginning. I mean, the responses we get depend on the audience that you can reach. And so like we didn't know, we promoted it on all channels, and of course, originating from the Drupal network in this first go of the survey, we just reach a high percentage of technically oriented people, which on the good side, allowed us to just have to just get recommendations how to do things like in a technically sound way. Yeah. And therefore, this is on the good side. But on the other side, if there were more people maybe from marketing departments, we could get more demands from these types of areas as well. And I think like if we just run the survey again and we just learn and improve the survey from like how we had it now, and we just make this ongoing or repeat it or evolve it in an evergreen fashion or so, I think it would be really valuable to just reach other audiences as well. So that's definitely on the plan. But the observation that it's now like has a lot of emphasis on the opinions of technically experienced people. That's definitely true.
Yeah. I mean, I think we've got statistically significant numbers of respondents, and also, without revealing names, we've had responses from major, significant global organisations in multiple continents. So I really feel that the data is robust. Matthew's also asked, does anyone know who we are talking to in the Symphony team?
Not by name. There were some talks going on. But that's something we could find that out.
Yeah, with Marcus and Jamie have been leading that up. I can take that as an action item to follow up with you.
So maybe one for Kristen here. What is the timeline for these next items? Weeks, months, or years?
Yeah, we figured someone's going to say that. We deliberately did not specify specific timelines, and I think the key thing is one little box could be many months of work, like the landing page, AI stuff, many months. And actually, one thing I didn't say for that one in particular, there are like around 15 people working on Drupal AI for Experience Builder / Canvas. So it is a very large effort and many months. And then other items where they're more self-contained and they're sort of like, okay, we're going to build this one thing, and maybe there isn't necessarily that much follow-up. And others where, like with the search, right, is sort of chunked out, like, okay, we're going to do kind of the first pass and it's going to be focused on this, and there's going to be another search thing, right? So it almost is kind of like tracks as well around certain focus areas. So like accessibility lends itself to that, search lends itself to that. So it's a very hand wavy sort of answer, but yeah, the estimation process. So I'll give you some idea of kind of the process, right? So we have the idea, we figure out who can work on it, because if we don't have any work on the idea, then it's not going to get done. We look at their availability in terms of, and then we try to set some sort of deadlines. So each item, is going to be highly variable. And I think that is one of the parts of the AI tracker that we're trying to fine tune right now, is that sort of like deadline for each of these now items, right? Of when can it actually get done? So yeah. So I guess that's a very
I want
hand
to
wave.
add to this one.
Yeah, go for it.
So I mean, like we strive to release stuff constantly. So ideally, that's why we just, because as Kristen said correctly, there's some stuff that is just hard to create, and that's very impactful and that takes longer. Other things can just be done and they can be rolled out. And we want to have a steady stream of features, useful features, that deliver immediate value on an ongoing basis. Yeah. So you can expect that we just release stuff regularly. And now, because you asked for, this will be more than weeks, months, instead of months, years, or something like that. Yeah. And so we plan to do this, but it just really depends on the size and the complexity of the features and the resources available. That's why also we chose a format, a more generic format, like for product roadmap organization, with this now next later scheme, instead of just tying this to dates, because like we can't really say dates, but what we can say, we are just going to release things like regularly on an ongoing basis and let you all know.
I mean, I think an important point here is that thanks to the additional makers, and we've got more coming on tap, it's not just funding, but it's also they're offering full-time equivalents to work on Drupal AI that will accelerate the delivery of features. with 7 minutes to go, we've got a few more questions. Let's try and get through them all. So Francois is asking, when choosing the AI engines, will you consider including open source AI engines such as LibreSource, or is it just proprietary source engines? Christoph, perhaps you could answer that.
Yeah, it's so technically speaking, we are just abstracting from this from the engines. Yeah, so it should work with anything from this one that you mentioned in your comment specifically. I'm not sure if that's integrated already. If it's not, it could be. You could also just do that with support from other developers who have integrated any of the others. But we are not specifically targeting like open source versus closed source engines. We just try to abstract that and build AI functionality.
Yeah, great question. Pierre has asked, what is the long-term estimate for when this could really start to influence reluctant stakeholders to look more seriously at Drupal for sites with web content teams of under 5? Perhaps I'll answer that. One of the key areas that I'm looking at from the marketing perspective is to produce materials to enable agencies and even consultants, individual consultants, to be able to be persuasive in their conversations with stakeholders. So that's something that is in the near horizon. So we'll look to help you, Pierre, and others to have powerful, persuasive arguments to choose Drupal, even with small organizations. An anonymous attendee has asked, what is a landing page builder? What is this chatbot that's going to be rolled out? Does anyone want to take that, perhaps Christoph?
It's a very broad question. I think we don't have the time to answer this one. Like, sorry, I know that when we talk about landing page builder, we talk a bit of Drupal specifics, and the chatbot is also a specific thing, or like something that has been there. And Symfony is a technical the framework we're using. Sorry, we can't answer this right now. It would be too long.
In a sentence, it's the ability to be able to interact with components in a single place to build landing pages, but also to use a chat interface to be able to create new components or to adapt them and to kind of hand over between the two seamlessly. So it's a really powerful feature.
And there are recordings of demos and things. So if whoever wrote that question, you just reach out in like the AI initiative or the AI channels in Drupal Slack, and we'll get you some demos so you can see it in action. It'll be a little easier.
I mean, I saw the presentation at Drupal Dev Days way back in April, and it was truly breathtaking. So I encourage people to watch back those videos, and it's progressed so much since then. Fausto has asked, in your experience with the survey regarding integration with other systems, what is state of the art? What do they actually use AI for?
I've been thinking about this question for like the last minutes. It's a broad question that could mean very many things. I will just answer on like how I understand the question. So for the systems that are being rolled out right now, there's a vast amount of AI systems that are being connected. Yeah, so there are many that are using AI, custom AI models on Azure, for example. There's lots of ones that just interact directly with AI providers and that run local systems. Yeah, so there are lots of different things. So like this type of integration of third parties is just very well established. I'm not so sure if that's what you meant. On the other side, like if you have results from AI, handing that off into third-party systems again. So what we've seen a lot from case studies and from integration is, for example, if you're on the customer support or similar systems, that it gets handed back to Salesforce type systems or HubSpots. These kind of integrations are being used that is not necessarily related to AI. It's just like stuff that is just changed and then is handed over. So that we've seen. And and then lastly, of course, is everything around MCP, connecting to other systems using MCP or providing information to other systems using MCP. that's rather new. So I couldn't say how well established this is, but it's definitely possible. And so I hope that answers the question.
Thanks, Christoph. And then David has asked a really killer question here. Do you expect the commercial application of AI to vary widely between EU and NA markets, given the regulatory differences? And will it be harder to sell AI Drupal in the EU, for example?
I think this is a really good question. We have a great situation right now, really, because like we Europeans are forced to build stuff ourselves because like it's not so easy anymore, and so therefore there's a lot of innovation going on, and there's a lot of investment going on in Europe into AI-based platforms. So one part of my answer would be I expect that we see a lot of innovation, a lot of stuff in EU coming. On the other side, it has always been more regulated in the EU than, for example, in comparison to the United States. So therefore, it's easier to innovate with less regulation. So that will also still be the case. But I think here, like, there's really two ways forward.
Okay, we're at the hour. Someone's just asked about vector database capabilities. I'm just trying to type the answer now. There's a URL here which will give you the answer to that. If you go to the Drupal AI main page on Drupal.org, the project page, it has a list of the vector databases which will be growing.
Yeah, and one note when the slides become available, a lot of the headings on the roadmap go off to like meta issues or kind of a place to find out more information. So we'll make sure we link out when there is something that's sort of appropriate. You'll be able to just click out and get more information on any particular item. So that could be helpful.
And with that, over to Lenny.
Yes, and as we are wrapping up, I just would like to thank everyone for joining us. And I am sharing in the chat a couple of ways to stay connected with us by signing up to the dedicated LinkedIn page or signing up for the updates on Drupal.org or joining the public Slack channels on Drupal Slack. So please do that. Stay connected, stay in touch, and we will make sure to keep you posted with any further developments. With that, thank you everybody and wish you a very joyful rest of the day.
All right. Thanks, everybody.
Thank you, everybody. Bye-bye.
Cheers, bye.